call it pseudoscience. But here's an idea. Bonsly and Sudowoodo take their disguises to the max, always wanting to make sure we think that they're just trees, even when we know they're actually rock types, performing an act of mimicry. That holds true even in shiny form, where they each take inspiration from one of two types of iconic Japanese trees. Hello trainers, I'm Rival John. I've always had a strong affinity for the Bonsly line. I've always liked it and the gimmick it represents. It's such an oddity. We're so used to seeing a Pokemon and zeroing in on the few design features and immediately can tell what type it is. But Bonsly and Sudowoodo turned that on its head. Of all the Johto episodes I remember watching when I was a kid, one that sticks out is the Sudowoodo one, where Ash, Misty, and Brock are asked by a pair of feuding scientists to help them figure out what type Sudowoodo is. We eventually learn it's a rock type that merely pretends to be a tree and to blend in with the surrounding forest. The two are supposed to represent petrified wood, a plant that has hardened and fossilized over time, ergo the rock typing. And the tree motif was further reinforced 2 generations later when it got its baby form, Bonsly. Between the two, we have mimics of a bonsai tree, which looks like a baby version of a tree, and a fully grown one. And when we find a rare shiny form of them, that mimicry doesn't stop. In fact, between Bonsly and Sudowoodo's shiny form, we have representation for 2 very special types of trees in Japan, both of which carry heavy symbolism. Bonsly, the bonsai Pokemon. No mystery about what inspired this baby Pokemon. Bonsai gardens are a huge hobby in Japan. The art of bonsai actually started in China, but the practice was brought over to Japan around 1200 years ago. By the late 19th century, the practice took hold in the West. Now it's a true art form, with whole industries devoted to the planting, pruning, and care of your precious little plant. So how does Bonsly's shiny form fit into this? While this is the idea you may have in your head about what a bonsai tree looks like, they actually come in a number of species. You can pretty much miniaturize any tree into a bonsai, though some are much easier and others extremely popular, including cherry blossom bonsai trees. Yes, the sakura is an important symbol of Japan to begin with. It's a special plant with a short window where the peak bloom season happens, every year around late March and early April, lasting just under 2 weeks. The cherry blossom holds immense symbolism for the Japanese. The short blooming period of cherry blossoms is often seen as a metaphor for life itself, how impermanent it is. Just like the blossoms last around 10 days from flowering to the falling off the tree. The arrival of cherry blossoms marks the end of winter and the start of spring, symbolizing renewal and new beginnings. And since Bonsly is, after all, just a baby, it's already representing new life and new beginnings. The green bulbs on its head turn a pinkish color as the brown wooden texture part turns a slightly golden color. The cherry blossom is part of the national identity of Japan. Festivals called Hanami, which translates to flower viewing, happen to celebrate the arrival of the blossoms and the arrival of spring. Traditional foods eaten during the festival, inspired by it, are called sakura mochi, an obvious choice for a tree-based Pokemon. And when that pink matures, it later darkens, and that little baby tree eventually matures into a fully grown one, taking inspiration from yet another important Japanese symbol of the seasons. Sudowoodo, the imitation Pokemon. And that's exactly what it does. It imitates a small tree. Even in the overworld in recent games, Sudowoodo just stands there, Alright, so maybe not so menacingly, but enough to have it make you want to think it's not a Pokemon, but rather just another one of the trees. When Sudowoodo is shiny, the green bulbs on its fingers take on a dark red color, reminiscent of the Japanese red leaf maple tree, known as Momiji. Japanese red maple trees symbolize many things, such as abundant blessing, peace, beauty, patience, survival, and the arrival of autumn. You can see just how gorgeous they are. So beauty, check. The link to patience comes from how long it takes for them to grow to their most mature height. Maple trees take anywhere from 20 to 30 years to reach their required length or height. Endurance and patience, I mean, isn't that what Sudowoodo does? Patiently just stands there, enduring it all, not trying to let up its disguise. The trees also symbolize peace, and just look at Sudowoodo, non-threatening, just standing around, trying to not be noticed. Another connection to the elderly comes directly from one of its Pokedex entries in Generation 7, where it says that Sudowoodo, quote, is a particular favorite among elderly people. So much so that there's a magazine devoted to this Pokemon. And just with the Sakura viewings in spring, a festival during autumn time celebrates these trees as well. Momiji Gari, which means maple viewing, is a traditional pastime of visiting the areas where the foliage has turned red. They also have a special dessert for the occasion. It's a sweet bun made of buckwheat and mochi, usually with a red bean paste filling. The filling can vary from custard to chocolate and even cheese. With Sudowoodo being the elder one of the line, it fits, with the autumn being the later in the year, as well as autumn representing later in life for humans. And that is what I think the shiny lore behind the Bonsly Sudowoodo line is. I didn't realize what I would find when I was researching this line. I had some idea that it was probably related to other foliage, but the connections I found went much deeper. Such simple colorations that carry such significance. The change of seasons with spring and autumn, and two important times of the year where we see our natural world change. One focuses on rebirth and the fragility of life, represented by Bonsly. One focuses on endurance and patience, represented by Sudowoodo. Changes of foliage, so important that 2 entire festivals in Japan are dedicated to viewing them and reflecting on their meaning. And that's what makes these shiny variations some of the most intriguing for me of all Pokemon. And believe me, I've looked. So I want to give a big thanks for making it this far into the video. If you liked this video and want to see more shiny breakdowns, remember to like, subscribe. That lets YouTube know this is the type of video to recommend to other Pokemon fans. Leave a comment and join the conversation. Follow me on all my social media. And as always, share with a Pokemon nerd in your life. So, tell me, was I right about the shiny inspiration for Bonsly and Sudowoodo? Are you looking at them in a new way? What would you have given them as a shiny if not these? And tell me what other Pokemon deserves a deep dive like this. Until next time, trainers.